Welcome back to Open Line, talking politics, all kinds of politics. Happy to have with us Vanderbilt Professor of History and Political Science, Dr. Thomas Schwartz. Several calls on the line now. Let's go to Lucy. Hello, Lucy.
Hey, y'all.
Hi, what's on your mind?
Well, let me get local out real quickly. I agree with what you said, Mr. Hall, about how remarkable that was. I'm not a supporter of Mayor Berry's policies. A lot of them I just don't care for. I agree with what the professor said, and I also agree with what Reverend Fuzz said. And personally, I don't care if a woman had a three-way with 3 circus clowns. As long as I didn't have to pay for it, I don't care. That's her business.
Right.
What I want to talk about is the Steele, what do they call it? The Steele dossier? Is that what they're calling it? With Trump and this opposition
Right. This memo.
Okay. Correct me if I'm wrong, if I'm understanding where this came from. This, the Steele dossier, this opposition research, did it not originally come out of the GOP side, and then they sold it like they always do when they gather up data mining stuff to somebody who will pay for it? And I'll take your response off the air. Thank you.
All right. All right,
supposedly, yes. The Steele dossier got its start in opposition research from GOP candidates running against Trump, but when Trump clearly was going to be the nominee, it ended up then going over to the Democrats as the decision to try and build up opposition research against him. So it may have gotten its start with the GOP, but it then ended up becoming funded partly by the Democrats.
We've heard all kinds of sensational claims about just how, I guess, dire it is that only one side is being released, and just some say this completely discounts the entire investigation. Others say it doesn't, the Russia probe. Being your historian again, how unusual is it, the release of this memo in the way that it was done?
It was fairly unusual that in the middle of an investigation you have a partisan memo released trying to discredit at least some parts of that investigation. Again, it's representative of how polarized Washington is. During Watergate, there were, of course, relatively some of this efforts by the Republicans to save Nixon by getting out information in his behalf, but it was not as pronounced, and certainly you didn't have any congressmen, in effect, cherry-picking the FBI, as one of the accusations is against Nunes. On the other hand, I do think we're in a situation in which this sort of thing is probably going to be much more common, and it's a reflection of our politics much more than anything. So, again, as a historian, can we effectively function as a country when we are unable to agree on even our investigations? You know, I guess we're so polarized, so politicized now. How concerned are you about our ability to effectively function? I think we can. I do think, you know, there are civil servants, and this is one of the problems with some of the attacks on both the FBI and the Justice Department. There are civil servants who are simply trying to do their job. They're trying to investigate. I think we can function, and I think, if anything, even you know, given some of the fears of the Trump presidency when it first came in, I think we've learned that, you know, a lot of things can move ahead in a fairly normal fashion, even if the president is a very different figure from what we had been used to. That said, this investigation, I think, is going to be a real challenge in terms of what it. I think Robert Mueller has conducted himself, at least so far, I think, fairly respectably. It'll be very interesting to see what types of conclusions he can come to about Russian involvement. I don't think in the end he will get to the president, but we still don't know. It is going to be a test for our system of government. Yes. No matter what he comes back with. And this time we won't have tapes. We won't have the president, at least I don't think we'll have the president incriminating himself. And that is a difference from Watergate, because people could feel in the end that there was real solid proof against the president. This might be very difficult to say. Let's go to Brian. Hello, Brian.
Hey, Professor. I don't know if the professor remembers me. On the morning show with Nick Maris about a month before the election, I said, hey, I'm calling Florida and Ohio, and then Pennsylvania will be the battleground. And then watch the fights break out and stuff like that, because they had some problems at the polls 4 years before there with people intimidating Romney voters and stuff. And I said, there might be fights broke out. I don't think shots. And the professor goes, well, I don't think there'll be a lot of Republicans with boots on the ground there. And it's funny, the opposite happened, because the black vote did not turn out in Philadelphia. And there was a couple 100,000 votes in the Philadelphia area that just were not cast. If you look at the inner city of Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, it's funny, it's one of the biggest white cities in the country, like Nashville. Nashville and Pittsburgh and Seattle and Portland are like the largest white cities in the country. And it's weird, because they didn't come out to vote. The blacks blew it for them. And then so Trump rolled up Pennsylvania. And then I told you, too, Wisconsin, my woman from Wisconsin, like a week or two, a month before election, Trump was over there. Trump wasn't, he was up there, but his daughter was up there, his son was up there, and his daughter and son were going to like Waukesha, these little towns. My lady from Wisconsin said, yeah, his daughter and son are hitting these 10,000, 20,000 population towns in Wisconsin. And then she didn't even go up there the whole month or two before. I don't even
right.
Oh, yeah.
So you said these things on Morning Line?
Yeah, Morning
This
Line.
makes me want to go find the tape. I want to go find the tape. I don't know, Brian.
I picked Trump. He remembers me. But so I should get to my point. My point is,
okay.
I like Trump. Go Trump. I support him still, you know.
All right, so you're still there.
Yeah, I'm still there. I'm a little worried like him. I just read his book about Nixon, and I just got at one point, I'm like, is this presidency doomed? What is going on here? I was telling him this even in the election, like, and we talked before, said maybe he'll get more presidential, because, you know, when he gets elected, because I was like, every morning, like, what the heck is going on? So I wish we had Howard Baker or someone like that running it, a great senator from Tennessee, or Lamar Alexander, or someone like that running the White House now, or the guy who's dead, Thompson, or maybe Edward Meese's son could take over. This guy, he knows Edward Meese's son. He's going to be the new chief of staff. Oh, with John Kelly and those guys, too.
Okay, all right, Brian, thank you. So here you have Brian, Trump supporter, sometimes disappointed, it sounds like, by how he conducts himself, but not turned off, still right there with him.
Yeah.
And I think when you look at polling, that's where a lot of people are. A lot of Trump supporters, certainly. A lot of them will say, boy, you know, I wish he'd toned down some of the tweeting or whatever it may be. Maybe they like the tweeting, maybe it's something else. But in the end, they like that he's mixing things up.
They do. He does occasionally, though, go too far in a tweet, and that usually brings some reactions or says something that's not presidential. And I think there is, in a way, it was interesting that he got a bounce in his popularity after the State of the Union, because the State of the Union was very traditional and very presidential, and he didn't go off script, and he didn't call anybody names and all of that sort of stuff, and it helped him. So I don't know. I mean, it would be nice to say that he's growing in the job, but I don't really think that's the case. I still think that he's still almost 71-year-old man. He's still pretty much what he is, and we're going to continue to see this for the next 3 years or 4 years.
The tax break is popular.
Yes.
There's no doubt. And people like that for the most part.
That's interesting, because of course at the initial reaction was unpopular, and the polling showed people were not that in support. Then it's slowly been changing, and then I think it might be it's still a little bit the jury's out. But certainly when some of the companies started giving bonuses, when you started to see some results and he could point to them, that certainly helped the publicity for the tax break.
All right, we're going to take a break. If you want to call in, there's the number, 615-737-PLUS, 615-737-7587. Take a break. We'll be back right after this.